Welcome to 1111 Ways. It's a new year, and I want to start with optimism. First of all, I want to apologize for being out of the waves for about a month. And I finished the holidays and I decided to take some time to reflect on last year and what this year should bring, or at least the hopes I have for it to bring. It started like a very hectic year with a lot of news. Not many very bad, some good, but there's always hope. And then I thought, well, how do I focus this year? What can I do to put a little bit of hope on all the things that are going on, to spread good news, to spread good energies and vibes to all of you? But not the kind of optimism that looks away, not the kind that pretends everything is fine. I want to start with the feet well put on the ground, because it is a hard year at the beginning. It doesn't mean it has to be this way all the time, but there's a lot going on in our world. This weekend is the Super Bowl, and even the Super Bowl is bringing division sometimes in the people of the U.S. because some think of one team, the others of the other team, but it takes it also to a political level. Some say, I don't want to watch the halftime show because Bad Bunny is singing. And Bad Bunny is trying to bring everyone together, but we're still pulling apart. We're still trying to find the right way. We live in amazing, difficult times, and it's that important to focus. It's that important to see what's important for all of us. We walk streets with violence, feel closer. The violence feels closer each time than it should. We watch leaders speak loudly, but often listen quietly, if at all. We see nature responding to decades of neglect with floods, fires, and heat, and we feel technology connecting us faster than ever, while somehow pulling us further apart. So today, I don't want to ask what's going on wrong. We already know that. I want to ask the harder question. What do we do now? So welcome to 1111 Ways. Across cities in the United States, violence has become a constant headline. Talking about headlines, when we see or listen to news, this is what we see. Shootings, stabbings, random acts that leave families shattered and communities afraid. Let's wonder a little and see it with our own eyes. Here you see the New York Times today, and of course, they're talking about the 250th birthday of the U.S. Reactions to the racist post of the president. Then we see people saying, we want to listen about the limits for ICE. We want the whistleblower that accused Gabbard infiltrating with intelligence reports, Epstein files, U.S. leaks of the chief staffs resigning. It's all tension. It's all tension. Now let's go see the Wall Street Journal. Japan scores landslide with an election. UK Prime Minister Starmer top aide resigns amid Epstein's fallout. So news are going all over. Whistleblower complains based on foreign call about person close to Trump. So it's kind of heartbreaking to see that mainly we're surrounded by this kind of news. News that call us together because, for example, today, Lindsey Vonn, which was an amazing brave medalist competing in the women's downhill competition in Italy, she had a terrible accident again. And she was training for this moment. She was giving her best. Even yesterday on her training runs, she did great. So today, it wasn't her day. and she got again slipped and had an accident. We hope the best for her, but we think a little bit about of all of us. It's like the best, like her, giving this big effort. On the other hand, we see the news and we see Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping, and we don't know still where she is, and it gives the country that anxiety of why a grandma, why are these things happening in our world? Then the Super Bowl this afternoon with the division of people that want to see it, that don't want to see it for political reasons. But again, we need to find a ground to be together. So this is what's going on there in Fox News. If we see the news there, we see again the searching for Nancy Guthrie, and then we see the different stresses in different parts of the country. The Minnesota governor, the smear campaign against him, and all the things that are going on. And then North Korea accused of executing teens for consuming South Korea media. What's going on? Well, that's crazy. So then we see the BBC News, and we see again Andrew shared confidential information. Epstein as trade envoy, file suggests. Russia names 3 suspects in the shooting general. And we see the war in Ukraine, the different wars going in the world, and some others that are cooking for it. So it is a moment that it calls us for reflection. It's about people feeling unseen, unprotected, unheard. Violence growth where connection breaks down, where trust disappears, where despair has nowhere else to go. And fear changes how we treat each other. Around the world, trust in leadership is eroding. People don't feel represented anymore. They feel managed, spoken at, not spoken with. Too often, leaderships have become about defending positions instead of protecting people. And when leadership turns into performance, citizens are left to fend for themselves. On the other hand, nature is speaking, and it's not whispering. Floods where there once were dry land, you see floods. Fires where forests once breathed. Heat that pushes the human body beyond its limit. Nature isn't angry, it's responding to how we lived, responding how we consumed, responding with delayed responsibility. And the most vulnerable will always pays the highest price. So we, the people around the world, are paying the price of times of misleading, times of abandoning our nature. And then we still are every day reminded with a knock on the door that it's time to react, that it's time to take action, that it's time to protect ourselves from being away of each other, from being away of nature, from being away from reality, and trying to make the world better. Sometimes I feel, do we forget that we're just a little piece of dust in the universe? That the miracle of us being here is so big. Imagine everything that had to happen for us to be alive, for us to breathe, for us to grow, for us to eat. And all of that, sometimes we forget it, and then we think we're in parcels, that we have to divide ourselves, that we have to fight against the other, that we have to say, nope, you can't come in. This is my place. You don't have anything to do here. And no, we are just one people, one creation of God that is incredible. And that we're proving, we're testing ourselves to see if we really want to be the humankind that we should be, or someday we won't exist because we will be so far from each other that we won't be able to live together anymore. Technology promised connection, and in many ways it delivered. But it also replaced presence with speed, depth with efficiency, listening with scrolling. Jobs are changing, roles are disappearing, and humans are quietly wondering, where do I fit now? We're more connected than ever, and somehow lonelier than ever. Behind all of this, there's an invisible crisis: anxiety, burnout, exhaustion. People are tired, not just physically, but emotionally. A tired society makes desperate choices. A tired heart reacts faster than it reflects. And if we stop here, the story feels heavy. But this is not where the story turns dark. This is where we're gonna turn it inward. In moments like this, when the world feels heavy, loud, and fractured, many of us ask the same question, quietly, almost ashamed to say it out loud. What am I supposed to do with my own life in the middle of all of this? Not in theory, not someday, but now. Recently, a piece of written began circulating online by a writer named Dan Koe. I'm going to show it to you here online on X. It's titled, "How to Fix Your Entire Life in One Day." It went viral, not because of quick success, but because it touched a nerve. The idea was simple, almost uncomfortable. Not fix your life in one day, but rather, you can change the direction of your life in one day. That distinction matters. Dan argues that most of us don't fail because we lack discipline or motivation or talent. We fail because we keep trying to improve our lives without questioning the identity and patterns that created them. So instead of adding more goals, more habit, more pressure, he suggests something radical and in its simplicity. One day, one honest day. A day where you stop running, stop numbing, stop pretending, and ask yourself questions that most of us avoid. What am I tolerating that is slowly draining me? What version of myself actually feels at home in the life I say I want? What am I doing out of fear instead of alignment? This isn't about productivity. It's about clarity. Dan talks about how real change doesn't begin with action. It begins with identity. Because if your identity stays the same, you'll eventually recreate the same life, even with new goals. And the idea lands differently in a world like ours. Because when the outside world feels unstable, when the institutions wobble, when the future feels uncertain, clarity becomes an anchor. Not control, not certainty, but direction. One of the most powerful ideas he shares in what he calls the anti-vision. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" he asks, "What kind of life am I no longer willing to live?" What kind of exhaustion? What kind of disconnection? What kind of fear-based living? That question alone can shift someone inside you. Because many people don't need a new dream. They need permission to let go of a life no longer fits. And here's where this connects back to the world around us. When societies are overwhelmed, when systems feel broken, when fear is amplified, the temptation is to shrink, to numb, to outsource our agency. But inner clarity is not escapism, it's preparation. When you know who you are, what you stand for, what you refuse to tolerate, you stop being so easily pulled apart by chaos. And the world doesn't need you better systems. It needs clearer humans. Because when individuals gain clarity, something powerful happens. They show up differently. In cities affected by violence, people stand between anger and tragedy, interrupting cycles, meditating conflicts, choosing peace when retaliation feels easier. In places hit hardest by climate disasters, volunteers rebuild homes, restore land, and protect what remains. In neighborhoods forgotten by headlines, mutual aid groups feed families, care for elders, and remind people they matter. And everywhere, quietly, without cameras, teachers, mentors, nurses, parents, and neighbors shape lives. Not for applause, not for likes, but because someone has to. Hope, it turns out, isn't loud. Hope is practiced. So what do? We stay infirm and we stay informed, but not addicted. We see the news because we need to know what's going on, but we try to stay connected to them all the time. Switch that channel sometimes. Go out and see a tree. Go play with your kids. Go share their time in their homework. Go call a neighbor. Go call a family member. Do something to break the cycle. We protect real humans' connection. We serve locally where our hands can actually help. We slow down enough to listen. Listening is very important. And we refuse to let fear decide who deserves dignity. Small actions, stubborn actions, human actions. This is how change has always happened. This year doesn't pretend to need perfect leaders. It needs present humans. People willing to choose clarity over autopilot, compassion over fear, presence over distraction. If you feel overwhelmed, you're not weak, you're awake. And if you're choosing kindness in a hard world, you're already part of the solution. This is what we're trying to spread. So if you are following this channel, hit those likes, help us. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button so we can spread this word more around. This is an important year for humanity. Important because we're in crossroads for many things. We're fighting over many things. And the only thing that can make us better is the hope of humans that are present, that are clear, and that are focused in the important things of life. Remember, when you walk around, when you look around at nature, when you look around at a bird, it's just the wonders of life that we forget sometimes. We are here. We can open our eyes every morning and feel the warmth of the sun. We can see the wind. We can feel it. We can see the whisper of nature talking to us. So let's not forget it. Let's spread the word. Make us stronger so that we can spread this. This is 11 ways. And we walk this path together because we are here to make the world better. We're here to let someone understand that there is a path for a better world. A world of unity, a world of understanding, a world of caring about each other. We're not perfect. We're humans. So we make mistakes, but we have to be better every day. We have to try to be better every day so that we can impact this world in a positive way. I'll see you again in our next episode of 11 Ways. Thank you for following us again.